Good morning, Dubai. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Lovin Daily, Dubai's top trending news stories. How are you doing? Are you excited for the weekend? We certainly are. Feels like Thursday, but it's only Wednesday, but we'll get there. Our top stories today, we're talking about the fact that Abu Dhabi schools will be allowed to reopen under very strict guidelines. Also, the fact that Oman has announced a 2-week closure, and Team Angel Wolf are doing another global tour. Well, their first global tour. It's virtual, and this is how you can get involved. But we'll jump into our first story, which is the fact that schools in Abu Dhabi will reopen, like I said, but all students must wear masks, and there's a couple of strict guidelines that they must follow. So ADEC, the Abu Dhabi Department of Knowledge and Education, announced yesterday that schools' campuses can reopen. However, schools must ensure social distancing, which will be interesting with kids there, as we know. There will be temperature checks for all staff and students before they enter school each day. Children over 6 must wear masks. Schools must be disinfected throughout the day, and parents also will receive a guideline so they can fully understand the new guidelines. And actually, that's interesting. And if you're interested and you're a parent of a student who's going to a school in Abu Dhabi, if you go onto the ADEC website now, you can get the guide and you can download it, and it's very comprehensive, and it basically helps you understand the new guidelines. Just have a quick load through. It's like 20 pages long. So like I said, very comprehensive. Kind of a little bit of information about coronavirus, about your engagement, about kind of support for parents. So it's very helpful if you want to check that out. Now, with regards to the new guidelines, schools have until July 30th to announce the reopening model that they will follow. Then this will allow parents the time to decide where to enroll your students. So while they're of course, you can stay in the school that you're already in, or you can switch schools depending on the model that they follow. Now, it's also worth noting that full distance learning is not permitted. So I think similar to Dubai, the schools in Abu Dhabi can kind of figure out if they want to do maybe 2 days and 3 days or whatever they want to do, and that will be announced by July 30. But a full distance learning is not permitted unless there's kind of a medical case there. So like I said, it'll be interesting to see what schools decide and kind of what role they want to take. I would just like to know what teachers think. If there's any teachers, I'll open up the comments on Facebook so I can check. But what are your thoughts on students wearing masks and maintaining social distance? Because, you know, as soon as you're in that classroom situation, I mean, if you're a parent and you're trying to get your child, Richie, does Joaquin wear a mask when you go out? Or is that he's under 6, so he probably doesn't need to?
He wears a mask.
Okay. And does he always wear it?
Yeah, because...
Is it tricky?
I mean, I don't want anything to happen to him.
100%, of course you don't, but I've definitely, and yesterday I was around a couple of kids and they were all together, and let's say they didn't all have their parents with them, and their masks, it was very hard to get them to all wear their masks. And when one pulls it off and and one kid I think had just lost his mask, and that was halfway through the day. So of course schools will have to be prepared, and they'll probably need separates. They'll need a lot of masks. It's just a tricky one. So
it is tricky.
Yeah. But yeah.
I mean, ideally, you would want to have less kids together
in the classroom,
right? Because I mean, they're kids. They don't know what's really happening. If you think about it,
exactly.
Like, you know, they just think, oh, okay, I'm having fun. I'm 5 years old, 6 years old. I'm with my friends. So that's why I talked to you, I think the last week or 2 weeks ago, about I'm not really into getting my kid to school yet.
Yeah.
But at the same time, again, it's tough because it is tricky because I had to enroll him like about a week ago. And luckily when I went into the classrooms, I was like, okay, this is nice. But do I really know what's gonna happen when he starts in September? Like it's tough.
It's tricky. Like, we know that schools will obviously try and follow the regulations to a T, but like you said, as soon as there's a number of kids in a classroom, and kids love to hug each other, they're so affectionate, and they, like you said, they don't understand COVID. That's why schools can be known as kind of super spreaders, because, you know, kids are just not going to follow those guidelines. But I think the rules will be like your temperature will be checked every day before going in, and obviously kids can easily kind of maybe pick up bugs. So if your kid has maybe any type of bug, they'll be staying home a lot more. I reckon that kind of will be on the cards in future. More sick days.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Not for you. Well, this is another thing, because obviously in the office, it's tricky for us to kind of follow the model that we want to follow and make sure that we have all the protective gear in place. And we're a bunch of adults. Imagine trying to have 2,000 kids. Like, it's difficult. But it's great to kind of hear that schools are reopening. I'm sure a lot of parents are rejoicing at that fact, because if you're going to work and you need to make sure that they're getting educated.
It would be good to know if there are any comments about, as you said earlier, from teachers or anyone in the education.
Yeah, well, yeah, as I used to teach, obviously, so my question to teachers is not even about the masks, but about the social distancing, because even as a teacher, it's very hard to social distance from a child when you're kind of helping them to write for the first time, when you're kind of helping them to do up their shoelace because they don't know how to, like you just can't social distance. Yeah, but I think we'll see with the guidelines in place that schools will obviously do their very best to roll them out. And if that's the case, you will probably see less kids in class, maybe, depending on the school. But like I said, we're talking about Abu Dhabi right now. These are rules for Abu Dhabi, and the schools now have July 30th to announce the model that they're going to continue with. And then parents can decide which school to enroll their kids in. So you'll have a couple of weeks, because I think schools start back-ish August 30th. We'll move on to our next story. This broke yesterday. Oman has announced 2-week lockdown as we're seeing infections, COVID-19 infections still rising. The country has taken the decision to enter a 2-week lockdown period. So Oman has announced that travel between provinces will be banned from July 25th until August 8th, as well as a curfew is being instated from 7 p.m. until 6 a.m. between those dates, and that includes the Eid holidays. So like I said, we're seeing the numbers rising. Yesterday, Oman actually announced 1,487 new cases, bringing the total number of confirmed cases in the Sultanate to 69,887. I love it. If you see the photo beside us, I love Muscat so much. So I'm just hoping to hear that with this lockdown, the numbers will go down. And as we're talking about this, just a quick recap of the numbers in the UAE. We've gone up to 305. So over the last week, it's been under 300. But new cases yesterday announced were 305, new recoveries 343, total deaths in the UAE now stand at 341, while total recoveries 49,964, and total confirmed cases 57,498. Anyway, guys, it's Wednesday, and we'll move on to something that you can look forward to this weekend. You can join Team Angel Wolf and climb a European peak virtually. So as we know, Team Angel Wolf are probably one of Dubai's most inspiring families. They've completed over 200 races, broken Guinness World Records, and now they're starting a new challenge. It's a virtual world tour. You can learn more about it on their social media, or if you look up the hashtag Climb with Rio, which is where we'll be sharing our challenges, which we're going to talk about in a little secretary. This is the world tour. So basically, at the final weekend of every month, Team Angel Wolf want you, so it's not just them, they want you to virtually travel to a different continent, choose a peak, and climb it in your own time, in your own way. It's very easy to get involved, and as we know, what the family try and do is encourage inclusion, while also getting people to kind of stay home and stay fit, which is key at the time. Also, there's a lot of fun worksheets to help you discover more about the continent that they're traveling to, and also then you can kind of research the peak you want to climb. So you can learn more about it on Team Angel Wolf. They're doing their climb this weekend, and last weekend they climbed Big Ben to kind of prepare. But this is Dad Nick and son Rio. They've also virtually climbed Burj Khalifa from their home. This was during lockdown. So obviously Dad Nick has Rio on his back. You can see the video here beside us. And like I said, they're always trying to promote inclusion, encourage awareness of people of determination. And they've done Burj Khalifa, so I had to check the heights of all of this before we went on to the show. So Burj Khalifa is 830 meters. So that's the climb that they did in their home during lockdown. Last week they did Big Ben, so that was 96 meters to the tip. But they want you to choose a peak in Europe, whatever it might be, and then consider climbing it in whatever way or whatever time that you can do it this weekend, and then let them know on hashtag Climb with Rio. Richie, are we going climbing?
This is a tough question. I have hip problems.
Well, I think you could also walk the distance.
Fine.
It's more about staying fit, because at the moment, they had in June, it was Walk with Rio, or Move in June, and then you were able to do walking 1K a day, which is pretty awesome.
Okay. When are we doing this?
Well, this is very interesting to me. So they did Burj Khalifa, 830 meters, tallest building in the world. They did Big Ben last weekend, 96 meters. And to give you scale, this building, so if we were to climb it, and we're on the 42nd floor, so if we were to climb to like the 44th floor, 190 meters.
Okay. I'll go down. I don't know about up.
I think the whole point is to choose a peak. Yeah, so yeah, that's interesting.
I mean,
as long as you're documenting it.
We could go down.
We could go down for lunch.
And then take the lift up and then go down. Right?
And up again.
No.
Okay, well, let's choose a peak in Europe. Was there any? Did you have any travel plans to Europe this summer? I didn't know.
No.
Well, that's easier for me. You're like, no, definitely not. Well, if I was going to go home to Ireland this summer, Ireland, I would choose let's say, does anyone know the Cliffs of Moher? They are on the coastline, really beautiful. You're like, absolutely not. Height of Cliffs of Moher.
Is it near the fields of Athenry? No.
Okay. I think they're both fields of Athenry. I think they are both west. Okay, so that's 214 meters. Ooh. So it's actually higher than this building. I underestimated that. Anyway, guys, that's kind of the fun that you can do. It's for kids. It's for kids. It's for everyone, but it's kind of a great activity this summer. There's actually worksheets available on Team Angel Wolf where you can kind of choose your peak. Then you can kind of research a little bit more about the content that you're continent that you're traveling to, and then every month you can do a different challenge, which is amazing. Guys, those are top stories. We're back with you on tomorrow morning. I thought it was Thursday again. We're back with you on Thursday morning, same time, same place. Stay safe, wash your hands. Bye.